I'm Bo Johnson. It's December 29th, 2025. Welcome to YesToHellWith.com. Let's discuss Christopher Everston and John Williams. Christopher Everston was an inventor developing clean energy fuel cell technology. The federal government charged Everston with mailing a package through the U.S. Postal Service without the required hazardous materials warning label. The material at issue was sodium metal, a component used in his fuel cell research. Later, it was classified by the government as hazardous. There was no spill, no injury, no damaged property. It was a labeling omission at the post office. Everston refused a plea, represented himself, and went to trial and was acquitted by a jury. That should have ended the matter. It did not. The second charge came after the acquittal. The federal prosecutors brought new charges under the federal environmental law, alleging that the same sodium metal now constituted abandoned hazardous waste under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. Same material, same location, no release of anything hazardous, no injured party. The government argued that the sodium metal posed a theoretical public safety risk. But still, no spill occurred, no exposure, no one was harmed. The second prosecution resulted in a 21-month federal prison sentence. Now let's use the four corners of justice diagram and make reason of this, for there is none. The investigators, there was no legitimate need for a criminal investigation. Agents treated a regulatory labeling issue as evidence of criminality and later recharacterized inactivity as abandonment of that material. No independent evidence of criminal intent was ever developed or ascertained. The prosecutor escalated a regulatory omission into two criminal cases, the second following an acquittal and relying on reclassification of the same material under a different statute. Federal press releases framed the case as environmental enforcement, yet criminal sanctions were pursued where administrative remedies were available. This was outcome-driven prosecution, not justice. Then there's the judge who allowed a second prosecution after acquittal and did not intervene when inactivity was transformed into a criminal act. Judicial restraint became judicial abdication. Everston defended himself. That explains why he prevailed in the first trial and lost the second. Exhaustion replaced preparation. The system punished endurance, not guilt. Christopher Everston was criminalized for policy infractions, not crimes. The four corners of justice diagram illustrates that intent was presumed, harm was hypothetical, authority went unchecked. These cases show how persistence by the state becomes punishment itself. Now let's look at John Williams. John was a 60-year-old pastor with no criminal history. The alleged crime? He was charged with possession of a firearm at an airport. The facts are undisputed. The firearm was legally owned. It was left in his luggage from a prior trip. This was all quite accidental. There was no threat, no concealment, no intent. This was a crime of omission, not commission. Williams accepted a plea to avoid prison and received 6 months of probation. The investigators. Now, the discovery of the firearm triggered automatic criminal referral. No inquiry into intent, no discretion exercised. An accident was treated with criminality. The prosecutor pursued conviction despite acknowledging the absence of willful intent and the lack of a criminal history for John Williams. The existence of the statute replaced the requirement for mens rea, or evil intent. There was no trial. The court accepted a plea knowing the case lacked criminal intent. Procedure closed the case. Justice never opened it. The defense counsel did not challenge intent, necessity, or proportionality. The system rewarded compliance, not truth. John Williams became a criminal because of his forgetfulness. His forgetfulness, therefore, was treated as intent. There was no discretion. It was completely abandoned. Conscience was ignored. Rules replaced judgment. Christopher Everston and John Williams were not criminals in a traditional sense. They were casualties of a system that criminalizes omission, presumes intent, prioritizes closure over truth. And as always, may truth reign supreme.